The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Who to start, who to sit, and pigskin pick 'em. I'm your host, Mike Williams, and here's my co-host, Jeffrey.
Good afternoon, Bay Nation.
Jeffrey, let's start with the home team, the Cincinnati Bengals.
Quarterbacks.
I think Joe Burrow's a solid start in this matchup. The Chargers aren't great against the quarterback position. I think Joe Burrow should have a solid game. On to the next one.
Wide receivers.
Jamar Chase has proven to be one of the best receivers in the game this year. You fire him up every week. I also think that T. Higgins can be a low-end wide receiver too, high-end flex play. And I'm really not trying to play Tyler Boyd. On to the next one.
Running backs.
Joe Mixon has been a beast this year. Love Joe Mixon. You fire him up every single week. I got a lot of people before the season telling me how bad Joe Mixon was going to be. He's always injured. Well, Jeffrey, where is Joe Mixon ranked amongst running backs this year?
Joe Mixon is currently the third best running back in fantasy football.
I would say that's pretty good. Pretty good. Alright, on to the next one.
Tight ends.
Yeah, I'm really not trying to start CJ Uzomah. Next.
Defenses. Kicker.
No to the defense, no to the kicker. Alright, on to the Los Angeles Chargers.
Quarterbacks.
Justin Herbert has been playing fantastic this year. You fire him up every week. On to the next one.
Wide receivers.
Every week you're going to start Keenan Allen. He's a must start. But Mike Williams, no, not me, receiver for the Chargers, he has been extremely up and down so far this year. He's either top 10 or he's outside the top 45. It's been really rough. So he's a boomer bust play. If you need somebody more consistent, I would look somewhere else. I have Mike Williams as a flex play with upside. Next.
Running backs.
You start Austin Eckler every single week. He's a top 5 running back, absolutely. Next.
Tight ends.
If you're desperate, you can start Jared Cook. I'm not really trying to, though. There's other people out there. Next.
Defenses.
No, I'm not starting this defense. The Bengals can score a lot of points if they need to. Next.
Kicker.
So that's going to do it for the fantasy outlook of this matchup. Now it's time for Pigskin Pick'em.
The Bengals are 3.5-point favorites in this matchup.
This could be close, but the Chargers haven't covered in like 2 weeks, so no. Give me the Bengals. So that's going to do it for this matchup. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell down below. If you have any questions, hit me up, and good luck in your matchups this week. Jeffrey, do you have anything you want to say?
See you soon, Bay Nation.
Good luck in your matchups this week. Peace. The Baltimore Ravens versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who to start, who to sit, and pigskin pick 'em. I'm your host, Mike Williams, and here's my co-host, Jeffrey.
Good afternoon, Bay Nation.
Let's start off with the home team, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Quarterbacks.
Nobody starting Big Ben. Keep it moving.
Wide receivers.
Deontay Johnson, I actually think is a great start. You fire him up every single week. Chase Claypool is definitely a flex play. He hasn't been in the top 24 in over the last month, so I definitely think that flex play is reasonable. More than that, you're getting lucky. Moving on.
Running backs.
Najee Harris, you play every single week. He's an absolute beast, even though he hasn't been performing how he normally is. I'm very curious to see how long they're going to be running him as aggressively as they are. How long do you run your star running back into the ground when the playoffs are almost out of reach? Next.
Tight ends.
Pat Freiermuth is a fantastic start this week. He has been a top 12 tight end 3 of the last 4 weeks, and he was number 1 in there as well. We needed another week-to-week starter, and I think that he might be the next guy. Next.
Defenses.
No, thank you. I'd prefer not to play their defense. You can, but I'm really not looking forward to it knowing the kicker. Alright, on to the Ravens.
Let's start with the quarterback position.
You fire up Lamar Jackson every single week, of course. Next.
Wide receivers.
Marquise Brown healthy, I think he's in your starting lineup. And Rashad Bateman is a solid flex play if you need him. Next, please.
Running backs.
Devontae Freeman is the running back you want on the Ravens. I think that he's going to be a low-end running back too, high-end flex play, and Latavius Murray is more of a desperation flex play. He's always dangerous towards the end zone, though. The problem with having a running back on the Ravens is Lamar Jackson might run the ball, Devontae Freeman could get a touchdown, or Latavius Murray could get a touchdown. So it's really a 3-headed monster there. I definitely think having a 3-headed monster limits your upside. Next.
Tight ends.
Every week you start Mark Andrews. He's one of the best tight ends in the league. Next.
Defenses.
I think think you can play the defense. I'm not really excited about it. I don't have it as a top 12 defense or anything, but the Steelers have been playing pretty bad. I think this should be a lower scoring game, so I think that the defense can be played in this one. And every week you start Justin Tucker. He's the best kicker in the league. And that's going to do it for the fantasy outlook of this matchup. Now it's time for Pigskin Pick'em. Jeffrey, what's the spread?
The Ravens are 3.5-point favorites in this matchup.
This is a tough one. The Ravens are a better team, but they have been really up and down. The Steelers are not looking good either. It's a divisional matchup, so it should be fairly close. So having it at 3.5 is kind of, I think I'm going to go with the Ravens in this one. I think Lamar Jackson should be able to pull it together. I'm really not trusting Big Ben right now, and I just think that the Ravens should be able to pull it out. So that's going to do it for this matchup. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell down below. Jeffrey, do you have anything?
See you soon, Bay Nation.
Good luck in your matchups this week. Peace. The Tampa Bay Bucks versus the Atlanta Falcons. Who to start, who to sit, and Pigskin Pick'em. I'm your host, Mike Williams, and here's my co-host, Jeffrey.
Good afternoon, Bay Nation.
Let's start off with that home team, the Atlanta Falcons. Jeffrey, let's get it started.
Quarterbacks.
Excellent idea. You're not starting Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has not been viable recently, and you really don't need that in your life. We're trying to get you into the playoffs. On to the next one.
Wide receivers.
I'm really not looking forward to starting any of these receivers. If I had to pick one, Russell Gage, but let's not stay on that very long. We're really not starting them unless you're desperate. Next.
Running backs.
Cordell Patterson has been a standout running back, or should I say receiver. At the moment, he is receiving almost as much as he's running. I love how Atlanta has been using him as a dual threat, both in the passing game and in the running game. An incredible turnaround for his career. Jeffrey, what is his current standings as a running back?
Cordell Patterson is currently the running back 8 on the year. And not only has he had his bye, but he also missed a game.
Cordell Patterson has been one of the best waiver wire grabs so far this year. Fire him up as a running back 1. Oh, and Mike Davis is not worth starting for sure. What a bust. Moving on.
Tight ends.
Yeah, I think that you can start Kyle Pitts. He hasn't been great recently, but there's not as many tight ends out there that's going to get the volume that I think he's going to get. So I think you kind of got to start him, but rookie tight ends. What are you going to do? The landscape for tight ends is pretty bad. Next, moving on.
Defenses. Kicker.
No, definitely not against the Bucs. And a no to the kicker. Moving on to those Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who's first?
Let's start with the quarterback position.
Every week you're going to start Tom Brady. He's an absolute beast. Fire this guy up every time he starts. Next.
Wide receivers.
For those of you who don't know, Antonio Brown has been suspended for 3 games because he used a fake vaccine card in the NFL. Apparently he was outed by his chef. With Antonio Brown out for the next 3 games, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are going to continue to get an incredible amount of targets. I think both of them are a must play this week. Not that you weren't playing them anyways, but when Antonio Brown is back in the lineup, the targets get spread a little more than if your top 2 receivers are Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And Gronk. Let's not forget about Gronk. On to the next one.
Running backs.
Leonard Fournette is an absolute beast. You fire him up every single week, and Atlanta definitely doesn't scare you. That being said, if you have Leonard Fournette, I would get Ronald Jones on the bench. You definitely don't want to go into the playoffs out your starting running back's backup. Because if he goes down, Ronald Jones is going to get the work. And we know that. Not every backfield can say that. Moving on.
Tight ends.
Yeah, of course. You start Rob Gronkowski every single week. He's an absolute beast. Next.
Defenses.
Yes, you play that defense too. Bucs defense is incredible, and Atlanta turns the ball over. So that's going to do it for the fantasy outlook of this matchup. Now it's time for Pigskin Pick'em. Jeffrey, what's the spread?
The Buccaneers are 10.5-point favorites in this matchup.
10.5 points is a lot of points. Ugh. But, I got to go with the Bucs. Great offense, great defense. Atlanta, I think, can keep it within 10 points, but I just think the Bucs pull away at the end. So that's going to do it for this matchup. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell down below. If you have any questions, hit me up. And good luck in your matchups this week. Jeffrey, you have anything to say?
See you soon, Bay Nation.
Sounds good. Peace. The San Francisco 49ers versus the Seattle Seahawks. Who to start, who to sit, and Pigskin Pick'em. I'm your host, Mike Williams, and here's my co-host, Jeffrey.
Good afternoon, Bay Nation.
Jeffrey, let's start off with that home team. Seattle Seahawks.
Quarterbacks.
Ugh. Quarterback position has not been great for them. Russell Wilson has not been looking good since he's been back from his finger injury. If you can sit him, I would. I know that some of you can't, so if you play him, I have him as a high-end quarterback too. I'm really not trying to start him if you don't have to. Next.
Wide receivers.
And this trickles down to the receivers. DK Metcalf didn't have a reception until the fourth quarter, and it's not like he had 8 targets. He had 1 target before the fourth quarter. That's absolutely ridiculous. They have said that they're going to try to get him more involved in the offense this week, but the fact that they even needed to say that was ridiculous. I do think he should get more targets this week. But Tyler Lockett has been able to play pretty well with Russell Wilson still being kind of shaky. He's been hovering around that flex play wide receiver 2 range. I think you fire him up as well. Moving on.
Running backs.
Ugh. I'm not trying to touch this backfield. You got Adrian Peterson coming in. Alex Collins looking terrible. Honestly, I just dropped Alex Collins in like 3 of my leagues. I can't have it anymore, honestly. With that offense being terrible, you can't trust Alex Collins. And now with Adrian Peterson there, what's the workload going to be like? Move on. On to the next one, Jeffrey.
Tight ends.
Gerald Everett is a desperation play. If you're super desperate and no one else is out there, I do still think he gets targets, but I would prefer not to start him. Next.
Defenses.
No. Next.
Kicker.
And no. Moving on to the 49ers.
Let's start with the quarterback position.
Jimmy GQ himself is not in my starting lineup. No thank you. Next.
Wide receivers.
Unfortunately, Deebo Samuel's not going to be playing in this matchup. But when one man sits, another man steps up. And Brandon Ayuk, I think, is that man. I think you definitely fire up Brandon Ayuk as a wide receiver too. Moving on.
Running backs.
Elijah Mitchell is definitely the main guy in this backfield. I think this is going to be a great play. The Seattle Seahawks do not scare you at all. I know that they're at home, but still, I think you fire up Elijah Mitchell for sure. He's the low-end running back 1. He is really good. And with Deebo Samuel out, he may get more opportunity in the receiving game. Next.
Tight ends.
Oh, George Kittle is a must-start every week. Yes, he started the year off bad, but he's still George Kittle, and I think he's a beast. With Deebo Samuel being out, I think he's only going to get more involved. So fire up your George Kittles. Next.
Defenses.
It's not the best play in the world, but I do think you can play the 49ers defense. Russell Wilson is just not playing well, man. He's just not. It's driving me nuts. But I don't think the 49ers are a great defense, but I do think they can be played.
Kicker.
And none of the kicker. So that's going to do it for the fantasy outlook of this matchup. Now it's time for Pigskin Pick'em. Jeffrey, what's the spread?
The 49ers are 3.5 point favorites in this matchup.
Another really close spread for divisional rivals. Normally I like to go on the under on this one, but I think the 49ers are just a better team at the moment. Yeah, Deebo Samuel is out, but Russell Wilson is having trouble moving it down the field. So I think that the San Francisco 49ers can take this one. So that's going to do it for this matchup. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell down below. Jeffrey, do you have anything before we get out of here?
See you soon, Bay Nation.
Good luck in your matchups this week. Peace.